Hey guys, so I'm back. My name is Debbie, and I just wanted to talk about a few things as a parent of adult kids, as an immigrant, as a healthcare worker, as a grandma, a wife, a caregiver. My mom lives with us, and so some of the things that parents don't talk about, or certain cultures they don't talk about, like my culture. I'm from Kenya, I'm African, so there's certain things that we are so ashamed to talk about. So let's get into it. First of all, I wanted to talk about addiction. Addiction is very, very prevalent in a lot of communities, and also in my community in Kenya, in Africa, and a lot of people don't talk about it. There's a lot of alcoholism, even in my own family, um, and sometimes, most of the time, addiction goes hand in hand with mental health. Sometimes people have depression, anxiety, some other kinds of mental illnesses, schizophrenia. But in my culture, we usually say somebody has been amerogwa. In the Swahili word for somebody has someone did witchcraft on them, um, and so we don't really find treatment for it. And I think that most of the time, if somebody would be able to get treatment, go to the doctor, go to therapy, um, get to know their diagnosis, um, they can do well. I think that a lot of addictions um, is rooted in mental illness. People are trying to cope, and so they drink or they do drugs or whatever other addiction that there is. I'm not saying that that's 100%, but in my experience as a healthcare worker and also as an immigrant, I know that we don't talk a lot about alcoholism. I have somebody that's very, very close to me that was really deep into alcoholism. It was affecting his work, affecting his relationship. Was not married, always had problems in relationship. And I kept telling them that you are depressed, you need to see a physician. And so eventually, I cannot go into details, but something happened that this person almost lost their life. And they invited me to go with them to the physician. And I did express to the physician that I believe that this person is depressed, is using alcohol to cope. And granted, they did tell the doctor, yes, they're having a problem. And they were put on medication. It's been a year. They're very productive. They're a good member of society. They're people that I know, people that I love, and they are from my country. And so it could be just something that we need to explore more, that we don't discuss, that needs to be out there, that needs to be discussed. Mental illness, depression, anxiety, it is real. It's some chemical imbalance in our body, in our brain. We as Africans, as immigrants, we always think that, oh, what do you mean you're depressed? You have a job, you have a house, you have family. It's not about that. And depression is just not somebody like just laying in bed, not getting up. It's just they don't find joy in doing things. So they can lash out. They can maybe come out as rude, come out as not caring, always fighting, always in a fighting mode. Yeah, that could be depression. It's stress. You need to see a doctor. You need to be open to discuss it. There's no shame in getting help. Just like you're getting help for diabetes, you're getting help for high blood pressure, you're getting help for ulcers. Depression, anxiety, mental illness is a disease that needs to be taken seriously. And there is no shame. There is no shame. When you're given medication for it, it it puts back that chemical, that balance. So then you're able to be normal, to be able to be with your family, be able to be productive at work, in relationships. We need to normalize mental health. Um, One thing that we don't talk about in my culture is homosexuality. Um, Sexuality per se, we don't talk about sexuality. Um, I have my daughter. My daughter is gay, and I've had a journey with her where We went from the beginning when we found out, and it was chaos. Like, you come from a Christian home. Um, why are you doing this? What are people going to say? It caused a lot of problems in my relationship with my daughter. We didn't talk for a very, very long time. And, you know, I've been praying. I know what God has shown me about her, that she's going to get married, she's going to have children, she's going to have a home. That's what we want for our children. We want them to be normal. And usually we want them to be normal because we want people to look at them and say, oh, wow, that's Debbie's daughter. She's doing good. We're always doing something because of other people. But in my journey with my daughter, we have come to sit down and talk about it. And what I was trying to prevent other people from treating my daughter, that was me treating her. I was the one treating her bad. And my daughter is a nurse. She has a master's degree in nursing. I do too. And so she told me, I was born this way. And man, that just hit me so hard. I was born this way. I gave birth to her. I made her that way. And oh man, I was so convicted. God loves my daughter just the same way I love her. God loves her even more. And so I had to come to a realization that we are all different. And in the eyes of God, we are all the same. And so until it hits your door, sometimes you don't open your eyes. I have a very good relationship with my daughter. She has a partner. And I wish her well. Like, they come and visit, and we communicate, and we talk about her sexuality. We talk about um, how people look at her, how people treat her. And so I should not be those people. She needs to be able to come to me and say, uh, Mom, I'm going through this. Mom, can you help me here? Sometimes we as parents, and we have adult children, we push our kids away because we want our children to be proper. But no, we raise our kids to be individual, to be productive in society, to be members of society that are productive. And so we push them, go to school, stay in school, behave. And they do that. And then when they start bringing those traits out to us, we don't like it. But that's what we're teaching our children. And so, um, yes, I worry. I worry about her. I worry about how, if they're out there, if people are going to discriminate against them, and if, something bad is going to happen to her. But my relationship with her is so much better. I have accepted my daughter. And so I come from a place of compassion where it's your child, it's your loved one, it's somebody that you love. And so if you're part of the problem where you're treating them bad, think about the strangers out there, how they're treating them. I'm not here to judge. Um, she told me she was born this way. I gave birth to her. So I made her. I made her this way. And so, yeah, it's been a long journey, but it's been, uh, and I'm glad I went through that. And also, I have adult kids where they've had relationships. They have had relationships with people that we didn't think were right for them. But sometimes you have to let your kids make mistakes. You have to let them learn. Sometimes we meddle so much because we are so afraid for them to hurt, but that's just part of growing up. um, we have to be open. You talk to your kids, you tell them, this is right, this is wrong, but they're still going to do what they do. You have to just be on your knees praying, and praying that God should protect them, that the spouses that come to their life, or the partners that come to their life, that are good people. And so you have to stand to the side. And sometimes you have to pick the pieces where, yes, I told you not to do this, but you did. But because you love your children, or you love your loved one, um, you're there to help. Yeah, I'm not saying that you should take abuse. I know sometimes people just do things over and over and over again, and sometimes you have to separate yourself to protect yourself. But you have to choose your battles, because your children are individuals, and you raise them right. And so now the individuals doing what you taught them to do, to stand up for themselves, to do what they think is right. You're meddling. uh, yeah, you have to respect them, and you have to stand to the side. And sometimes you want to say things and you just bite your tongue because you love your kids. um, I also want to talk about abuse. There's so much abuse in my community, and in all communities. And I'm not saying it's right. We don't talk about sexual abuse. I know sometimes when I watch TV with my mom, and there's a movie or something, or something real that happened, that someone abused somebody sexually, and my mom would always say, oh, that doesn't happen in back home. Yes, it does. We just don't talk about it. We need to teach our children, we need to teach our elderly to speak up and to say that if somebody touched them inappropriately. We need to teach our young kids that if someone does this or does that, you need to let us know. I think there's so much shame. We try to protect people that are abusing. It needs to be out in the open. That's the only way it will stop. We need to be comfortable talking about it. There's sexual abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's physical abuse, a lot of trauma that we as parents, we as adults, bring it to our family, bring it to our children, right? And then our children do the same thing, so it becomes very generational. We need to learn to normalize these things and to speak up. And so, yes, there is abuse. We need to talk about it. Um, yes, in our culture, we take care of our elderly, and so in other cultures too. But I think we do more of keeping them at home, and taking care of them and respecting them. And sometimes there's just caregiver burn, where you just get so tired. You need to ask for help. If if you're overwhelmed, you need to be honest with you and say something to someone, somebody that you trust, whether it's in your marriage or in taking care of someone, a loved one, kids. There's so many resources out there that and people that are willing to help. It is okay. It's not a sign of weakness. It is okay to say, I can't do this, I need a break. um, because sometimes abuse is because we're so stressed, and we are trying to do it all, and so we just lash out. And it can happen in our jobs because we've been holding so much, and so we just go to work and just, like, let it out. Or in our marriages, in relationship with our children, um, disciplining our kids. So I'll be very transparent that I was raised, and I was spanked. My mom is a single mom, and if I acted up, I got the whip. And did my mom abuse me? I don't think so. I just think that, yeah, I think sometimes she went overboard, but that is how we were raised. Now, when you're in the United States, it's 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 different, right? You give kids time out, you take things away from them, um, you sit them down and talk to them. But sometimes kids are going to be kids. Teenagers are going to be teenagers. Adult kids are going to be adult kids. You have to have tough love. You have to have consistency. You cannot say, if you do this again, I'm going to do A, B, C, D. And when they do, you don't do the A, B, C, D. Kids are very manipulative. Loved ones are very manipulative. So you have to be someone that if you say something, you're going to discipline a child in a certain way, whether it's taking something away, you have to follow through. Sometimes it hurts you. You're going to go to a room and cry because you know it's going to hurt your child or your loved one, but you have to follow through. That's the only way our kids are learning. The problem that we're having these days is that we are raising a society that does not know consequences. And so when they go to get a job, that they hope that people are not going to follow through. There's policies and there's regulations that they need to follow, but because we raise them without following through, and for them to have consequences, they think they can go to work and do the same thing. That's why they don't keep a job. They think they can get into a relationship and do the same thing. No, it needs to start at home. So then I'm not saying our children are going to be perfect. We all make mistakes. I have done plenty of mistakes, my share. But I'm just saying that we have to hold our kids accountable, our loved ones accountable, and just have a dialogue, because we don't whip children here anymore. Yeah, sometimes you feel like you want to, or sometimes some kids need to, but tough love does help. Prayer does help. Um, Discussions help. Parenting is hard. There's no book on how to parent. And so, especially in the United States, as an immigrant parent, when you think about what you went through back home, or your parents went through, and so you're trying to do the right thing, but you have to work, and you're working long hours, and sometimes kids are there by themselves, and so they're watching too much TV, or they're watching things, or hanging out with kids, or other, things that they're doing that you don't know. Uh, you have to follow through. Let's talk about retirement. Uh, we have to participate in 401k, Roth IRAs, roll over our money into when you move from a job, don't leave your money there. We have to be educated financially, because we think that sometimes we're young, and so age catches up with you. Remember, if you have a job that they match you in your 401k, you need to participate. And you need, because your employer is giving you money, right? So, but you have to take money out of your check. Money that you don't see, you don't miss, right? So just budget on whatever that you are getting. If you need to pick up an extra day, then go for it. Now, one thing that I want to talk about as well is marriage. Um, Marriage in our immigrant homes, depending on whether you are married to someone from your culture, a different culture, um, marriages are tough, right? And so if you're married uh, someone from your culture, a lot of things are the same. You think the same, the discipline, um, respect, things of that nature. But relationship in your marriage sometimes can be tough, where men or women don't apologize, don't help around the house. And so a woman is working doubles, or working overtime, coming home, there's dishes in the sink, there's laundry to be done. Marriage is a partnership. It's not just one person doing everything. You need to help your partner. You're a team. Disciplining children is a team. You have to discipline children together. I know sometimes you don't agree on the discipline, because sometimes you feel like one parent is harsher than the other. You have to have discussions about that. You cannot argue about how your spouse or partner is disciplining your child in front of the child. Oh, that's a red flag. You have to have discussions privately on what is out of bounds, and what kind of consequences the children or your loved one is going to have. Um, Doing investing back home, I know that I have been here for so many years, and sometimes uh, we thought that we would be going back home someday and retire at home, and so you're putting all your money back there. Invest here as well, because if you have children, your children are going to stay in the United States, or wherever you are, whether it's UK or Europe or there, wherever you are, your children are going to stay there. So invest there, because then you're going to leave a legacy of investments to your children, to your family. Think about, I'm not saying you should not invest back home, by all means, but I don't think that your bulk of your investment needs to be back home. I think that if you're investing, bulk of your investments needs to be where you are with your children, because then you don't want your children to go fight your family if something happens to you to get property back. Your kids most likely are never going to go and live there. They'll go visit, but I don't think they're going to live there unless you plan to move and go live there. Then by all means, you can do all your investments there. um, I also wanted to talk about trauma, trauma from when we were growing up to right now. I think we don't talk about that. We don't talk about how we were raised, and depending whether you were raised by a stepmother. I know that my mom, I've had discussions with her, and maybe I'll bring her on one of these days to just ask her questions and record her. But my grandma left my mom, my aunt, and my uncle with my grandpa when they separated or divorced. And so for years, my mom had a lot of resentment towards her mom. They did not have a good relationship because my mom believed that my grandma left them on purpose. Like, how can you just leave your kids? But me and my mom have had discussions about, what if she couldn't take you guys? What if your dad, my grandpa, was holding you guys like as a pawn, saying that maybe she'll come back? Sometimes we don't discuss these things. These are things that are deep rooted, that my mom has a lot of trust issues because of that. And even to the time my grandma died, they just did not, they loved each other, but just did not have a deep, meaningful relationship because of assumptions, right? And so, um, could she have benefited from therapy? I'm sure. I don't think that my mom believes that therapy would help her. That's another thing that we don't talk about therapy. Like, oh, why should I go talk to someone about my life and my this? But there's so many things that are suppressed in us that make us what we are right now. Things that we went through as children or growing up, and then those things are making us behave in a certain way, treating our family, our spouses, our jobs, our relationships, because they're very deep rooted from when we were younger. And so those are things to explore. If you have a way to get therapy and just talk about them, you're talking to a stranger. It's not like you're talking to your family, right? Because sometimes we have a shame of talking to our family about what we went through, and oh, they're going to think less of me. You're talking to somebody. So let's say you have a job and you have insurance. There's so many resources on your insurance that can, it's free resources of talking to someone, like the employee assistance programs where you can have a counselor to talk to you. And there's, so many things that we need to we need to be open to talk about them. I think there's a lot of hiding. We don't want to be thought of as less. My family, what are people going to think? But that doesn't help us, and we impart that on our children, and then our children behave the same way. This is a different culture. We have to be open about things like this so we can talk about them. um, let's see. I think that taboo. What is taboo? What is taboo in your home? My mom has lived with us for so long, and I always have expected my kids to respect my mom. That's just a given. I Right now, me and my mom can have discussions, healthy arguments about certain things, but it has come with a lot of fighting, and a lot of me wanting to be right, my mom wanting to be right. And so I've always had to remind her, Ma, this is a new day. This is not the same way that you were raised. This is not the same way that you raised me. And so we talk about it. I am so glad I have a very good relationship with my mom. We talk about so many things. And so, and I've seen her grow in our discussions and her being part of our family. And so I think that as parents, as immigrants, as grandparents, as wives, as caregivers, as caretakers, we need to do better. We need to open up, and we need to not hold so much stress in us. We need to seek help. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. There's no shame. Your doctor is not your relative, so you can go and be honest with them. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. How can I make this better? Sometimes we've just been taught to just take so much. There's help out there. Make sure that you're reaching out to somebody, um, somebody you trust. Get therapy, get counseling. Um, so we are not holding these things that will cause us have all kinds of illnesses, because sometimes things are emotional and they come out as physical, whether it's headaches, whether it's a lack of sleep, um, because we're holding so much. um, I am very excited to be able to start this channel so we can have discussions. I think that I'm not all knowing. I know that we are all in this together, and that if you have something to you think we should discuss, send me a message. Like and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos. I'll be doing a lot more topics. Let me know what you want to talk about. This is just an open discussion. Um, Thank you, and I hope you have a great day. God bless.